Welcome to Keep Smiling, the e-commerce customer experience podcast. Selling products online is challenging and can lead to poor experiences. We explore how entrepreneurs and organizations create better experiences for the people they serve. Amazon, Shopify, artificial intelligence. We'll discuss what matters today and what you can do to build a better e-commerce business. Hello, listeners, and thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Ty Walters, and joining me today is my co-host, Michael Melgar.
Hey everyone, I hope you've had a great summer.
Today is September 24th, 2019. Michael and I will gather some of the most interesting articles, recent events, news, or topics that we'd like to cover in sort of a variety format, a collection of maybe unrelated topics that pertain to the e-commerce seller, especially the seller that's running their customer service team or interested in improving their customer experience overall. Before we get into the content, a tiny disclaimer. Michael and I always urge our listeners to do their own research. There are certainly mistakes that we can make when announcing certain news or certain features. Take what we are talking about today, investigate how it pertains to your business and how it applies to your products and your brand.
And especially since we cover topics related to e-commerce with regards to Amazon, Shopify, we've even seen where Amazon might announce a new policy, but then it's rolled back later that same week. We've done that before where we were about to record an episode and talk about it, but it's something that changed last minute. So again, even after we publish this episode, you might find that you need to get up to speed with some of the latest updates. Make sure to take time and do your own research.
Right, and for that reason, why things change so fast, I think Michael and I try to have a back and forth about what does this update mean? We try to take it to that bigger picture level. And the reason is because then no matter if changes get rolled back or new changes come out right afterwards, we can sort of step back and understand how that change might apply in the bigger context of running a business online and doing really great customer service. So the first topic we'd like to cover today is FBA repackaging and refurbishment services. This is a topic that came to our attention through two different sources. One was an online article that was floating around, and we'll provide a link to that in the show notes. And then also some discussion that was happening on Reddit in the Fulfillment by Amazon subreddit. Some sellers had brought to our attention that Amazon was now making this service mandatory for all FBA sellers, this repackaging and refurbishment service. So that led us to dig a little deeper into what this service was and if we could figure anything out about it and to report to our listeners. So before we talk about the potential change that might be taking place, we wanted to give a quick definition and our understanding of this. From what we found in Amazon's own resources, the FBA repackaging and refurbishment services are two different distinct services offered to sellers by Amazon. First, let's talk about the FBA repackaging service. This is a service offered by Amazon in the case where one of their buyers returns an FBA order of your product to Amazon. This buyer returns your product to Amazon, and in this case, it is returned to Amazon with damaged packaging. What FBA repackaging services does is it repackages the otherwise sellable item that is in a alleged new condition, repackages this item, and adds it back to your sellable inventory to be purchased again through Amazon.
And in a new condition.
Great point. Also in a new condition. So that is FBA repackaging. Refurbishment services, on the other hand, pertain to items that are otherwise unsellable or in an unsellable condition as determined by Amazon FBA. So the distinction here that we see is, in one case, repackaging services pertain to new or sellable items, whereas refurbishing services pertain to unsellable items. The interesting aspect of this service here is that Amazon seems to reserve the right to grade something as either sellable or unsellable. From what we've seen on the online forums, this is the point that's making sellers quite upset in certain cases because they're saying, hey, who is Amazon to say that they can determine if it's sellable or not? I, as the brand owner, as the product supplier, should have that right to resell it to my customers or not.
In a more specific example, at SellerSmile, we've even seen where a lot of the repackaging option tends to be up to Amazon's discretion. So for example, we have a seller who sells products that come specifically for the left-hand side and for the right-hand side. And so each of them have to be packaged together for each individual hand. And we've even seen where the repackaging error has been made where they repackaged one pair of the wrong side items. That to Amazon might seem as something that is deemed sellable, but is in fact not what the customer would want when they were to purchase it brand new. It seems like something that would potentially even be considered defective to your customer because they think, oh, I received something that had the wrong pair included.
Right. In this case, Amazon's making a mistake. It could be an honest mistake where they deem the package as new and sellable. But in this case, the package itself sort of got mixed up in a way that now deems it defective or unsellable according to the brand owner. And I think in this case, Amazon FBA staff or personnel don't have access to the correct information to be able to determine what is sellable and what is acceptable in these circumstances. Because in this case, it really does depend on the type of product that you're selling. Does it come in a pair that is left-sided or right-sided and can't be mixed in alternate configurations?
One more thing to mention about that, not necessarily to split hairs, but their own definition says these are services for items in which the packaging is damaged, but the item is otherwise sellable. In our experience at SellerSmile, we've seen cases where the return was accepted as sellable and the packaging was damaged and it was totally fine and it was repackaged as a brand new item. And then we've seen it's returned with that same exact sort of damage, but then it's considered customer damaged and Amazon does not deem it sellable. So those are kind of cases where, again, it comes down really to Amazon's discretion, and I think that's one of the main points of contention here.
Another thing that we've seen, Michael, is conflicting evidence from Amazon about these services. In one article that we'll share in the show notes, Amazon seems to be saying FBA repackaging is a service that sellers may opt out of. In another article that we've seen, and we're going to include that right below it in the show notes for you, in this article, Amazon seems to be contradicting themselves, saying, actually, no, the FBA repackaging program is automatic and may not be opted out of, whereas the refurbishment services may be opted out of. We're going to include links to both of these articles in the show notes. We expect Amazon to make changes to all of their articles over time, so don't take these as Amazon's final stance in terms of these policies and these services, but take a look for yourself. And the best recommendation we can give in this case is to log into your own Seller Central account and see which features, which options Amazon is giving to you. We've seen cases where sellers of different products and different types of accounts, different ages of accounts will have different interfaces. They're seeing different options and services available to them.
We can't say definitively from a SellerSmile perspective, but we have seen some reports of sellers stating that it seems to be based on the category that their products are in.
The first article, entitled FBA Repackaging and Refurbishment Services, Amazon says, quote, FBA repackages your eligible customer returns so that they can be sold as new. The service applies both to retail and FBA return items and cannot be disabled in your settings. Again, link to that article in the show notes. The other article we found, entitled FBA Repackaging Service Terms and Conditions, Amazon says, quote, enrollment in the FBA repackaging program is the default setting. In your Fulfillment by Amazon settings, you can select at any time to opt out of the program for one or more categories of products. Not all products are eligible for repackaging. The FBA repackaging program will evaluate each unit on a case-by-case basis to determine whether it can be repackaged. Only items in new and sellable condition can be repackaged.
One interesting thing about that article and the link that we'll be providing in the show notes is even right below that, there's a section that Amazon includes that says changes to terms. And then they say, we may modify the terms and conditions that apply to the FBA repackaging program at any time in accordance with the Amazon Services Business Solutions Agreement. So interesting to note that Amazon themselves are stating that, hey, this can change at any time, really. So in our opinion, it seems to be that it is a responsibility that Amazon is placing on the seller to understand and keep up to date with these policies.
So again, the call to action here, log into your own Seller Central account and go check out these settings for yourself to see what Amazon is offering you. The pathway that I used is to log into Seller Central, navigate to the settings, click on refurbishment settings, and then there's an edit button there where I can enable or disable the refurbishment settings as well as enabling the service for specific categories. Next, Michael and I wanted to discuss a few examples of how our customer service team is interacting with these FBA repackaging and refurbishment services. We have a few examples that might be interesting to note here.
So earlier we mentioned how it currently already affects some of our clients, but if Amazon is changing this setting from being something that you can opt out of, this might be something that begins to affect you now versus maybe it previously didn't. But regardless, you might already be familiar with how repackaging services work. This is some of what we've done at SellerSmile with some of our clients who have troubles with this. We mentioned one of our clients earlier who we get a pretty frequent number of reports where it seems that Amazon's repackaging services package some of their products incorrectly. So one of the things that we do is when a customer reaches out to us and mentions, hey, I received something that was labeled as size large, but it was actually a medium size. That to us immediately sounds a little bit sketchy. So we're like, okay, we respond with a sort of message that says, thanks so much for your message. We're so sorry to hear about the mix-up. Amazon handles our order fulfillment, and it's possible that their fulfillment repackaged an unused return incorrectly. We will be happy to help you get this resolved for you ASAP. To help us determine the source of the repackaging error, could you please send us a picture of the items you received as well as the original packaging if it's still available? We're so sorry for the inconvenience and we really appreciate your patience. So really the main things that we're kicking off is that we're explaining to them that this is a possible fulfillment error. We're not necessarily stating it definitively because it might still be a packaging error that might have been done perhaps on your behalf or on the manufacturer's end. However, we want to open up the conversation that it might be due to the repackaging error. And from there, we are asking them for pictures. In our experience, it hasn't been something that customers have been upset about. They've been really cooperative. But if someone's being uncooperative or they're upset that they have to provide pictures of this, then, it's just try to perhaps provide them with a resolution right then and there. But most of the time, when customers do reach back out to you, they might provide you with a picture. You might be able to see, oh, okay, that's definitely not my packaging. That is Amazon's packaging. And you'll be able to then provide them with a resolution. Some of the resolutions that we've seen that have worked is, one, we tell the customers to keep it because we don't want this incorrectly packaged return to go back to Amazon and then the same thing happens again. And then you can either offer a refund or a replacement. Now, if you are able to prove that this was a packaging error based on the pictures that the customer sent, you can reach out to Amazon and request reimbursement for that order. So if you provided them with a refund or you provided them with a replacement, Amazon should be liable for being able to reimburse you for the resolution that you provided due to their mistake. So that's something that you can consider. You can always do that by clicking on the help link at the very top right-hand side of Seller Central. You'll see a Get Support link, and you'll be able to make your selection from there. You're going to have to click on Selling on Amazon and request an order reimbursement. We'll include some of those instructions on our show notes, but just remember that if you do come across those issues and if you have some proof to show that the packaging was obviously packaged incorrectly, you have a picture showing it, this is a great case to request a reimbursement from Amazon on. But all that being said, Ty, and I think both of you and I would agree on this, is that the ideal scenario here would be for Amazon to allow sellers to make the choice on whether or not Amazon should determine if the returns are sellable or not. It doesn't appear that that's the case right now, but that's currently something that is being heavily discussed in the Seller Central forums.
I wanted to come back briefly to what you discussed, Michael, about sending pictures back and forth. We've found it very easy to work with customers. They're really willing to share pictures and photos with us when requested, and sometimes we don't even prompt them to do so. I think a lot of times maybe this is misinterpreted as it's the seller, just trying to prove the customer wrong, where in fact I think our team has found it very useful to inspect photos because that helps us understand the source of the issue that may have occurred. Was it a repackaging error on Amazon's behalf? Did the manufacturer package it wrong initially? Was the wrong retail or hang tag added, whereas the actual item tag is correct? So if we can identify the source of that issue, we can certainly implement whatever fix or change is needed to make it better for the customers in the future.
One important thing to note there is your messaging about it can make all the difference, because if you are just saying, hey, can you please send me pictures? That just sounds like you're demanding something from me as a customer to take an extra step in order to get help. Versus if you're explaining to them that this might be due to a fulfillment error, we're so sorry, we really want to investigate this to prevent it from happening again in the future. Please send us pictures. That's a different approach, and that would be more inducive of customers actually trying to help you fix this issue.
Michael, let's switch gears now. We've talked about Amazon a lot in previous episodes and previous roundups, but Shopify news is sort of getting louder. And I think the volume that we're seeing and the demand from our own clients in terms of Shopify services is also increasing. Shopify is hitting the news a little bit more in terms of being competitive with Amazon in certain regards. Earlier this quarter, on August 14th, Shopify published an article entitled Introducing Shopify Chat, Enriching Shopping Experiences Through Conversations. In this article, they go on to explain how if you're a Shopify seller, you can integrate this app into your account for free. Now, you will need the Shopify Ping app for Shopify Chat to be enabled, and you also will need an iOS device to use it. These are all current constraints to this app and this offering, but Michael and I found this really interesting because chat's a hot topic in customer service, and customers expect chat to be on some of their favorite websites when they're shopping. SellerSmile has started offering chat services earlier this year, and we've learned so much as a result in terms of what customers are looking for, what's useful to sellers, and what can be done through chat. I think we've done a lot of activity that we didn't expect to in chat in terms of finding, connecting customers with the right product and even closing sales, as opposed to more of a reactive customer service approach. So we wanted to briefly cover this app. We must admit we haven't tested this out yet. None of our clients that we currently work with have Shopify Chat integrated. Of course, we're going to share this with them. Michael, maybe you can touch on this a little bit more, but what we discussed earlier was that Shopify Chat, while brilliant and really interesting from a technological standpoint, has sort of a limited application for our team. Maybe this limitation of requiring other apps and an iOS device will make it harder for entire customer service teams to plug in. And just to enter another caveat there, it really depends on your setup. Some customer service ticketing systems might have integrations with all of the apps necessary to fully plug into this offering. But where we saw sort of maybe that maximum application is the solopreneur, the one or two team business operation that is running their business on their phones, and they want to take an opportunity to answer and field customer service questions directly from the device.
It's a great introductory chat tool.
That's a great way to say it. If you want to test it out as a Shopify store owner, this could be a great way. Customer service messages or customer service conversations will come directly to your device, and there you can answer questions about your products, lead them to the correct product. A lot of times it's connecting them with a product that's right for them, and potentially even trying to upsell them on additional products that might complement it well. There's a lot of things that chat can be used for, and I think, Michael, and we've really seen that customers trust in a brand and trust in making a purchase so much more, not only if they see that option, but especially if they use the chat option.
In fact, so we found a study from ATG Oracle in Global Consumer Trends where they found that 90% of customers said that the live chat button gives them confidence that they can get help if they need it. So that's 9 out of 10 potential buyers who are coming to your site. They see the chat widget, and just the fact that it's there, that it's available to them, makes them feel more comfortable in completing their purchase. And we've seen it when we've ran live chat for our clients. So some of the things that we've noticed, right, is like really the chat usability can vary depending on the business, but in general, we've seen that it helps in closing sales. Somebody might come and say, hey, do you guys offer this product? And it's literally you're just helping them find a link to that listing, right? Maybe they found it difficult to find what they were looking for. Maybe you offer a large variety of products. This is a great way to help them find what they need. You can even take that as an opportunity to say, hey, yeah, we offer this, but you might also want to consider this one as well because this can do X, Y, and Z. So again, closing sales. One of our clients also uses it for registering warranty. So, they have a warranty bot where they can fill out a form. Sometimes customers reach out and say, hey, I don't really feel like going through this process. It's a little lengthy. Or, hey, I had trouble submitting my warranty claim. They can click on the chat widget and get going right then and there. Also, just regardless of any of these use cases, chat gives customers the ability to get responses faster. So we've seen many instances where a customer reaches out via email, and then before we can even respond to their email, they actually send in a chat and we're able to get their question resolved, plus many more, right? So something that might have taken 3 to 5 different email interactions is something that we were able to get resolved in a 5-minute chat conversation. So that's some of the many different benefits that using a system like live chat can do for you, right? So using an app like Shopify's chat app is worth the time investigating because it'll help you connect with your customers even more. Something that we really enjoy doing at SellerSmile is you can thank them for chatting. You can use your name. You can say, hey there, my name is Michael. Thanks so much for chatting with us today. Happy to answer your question for you. There's many times where they might ask you a question that requires a little bit of research. We've taken that as an opportunity to ask them about their day, right? It breaks the mold a little bit of just this like really monotonous customer service interaction. We've had people tell us, yeah, actually, I'm inquiring about this because I'm running a marathon tomorrow, right? And we had a conversation about them running a marathon and how maybe some of the products that they were looking at, how that can help them and things like that. So it really breaks the conversation out from this email format into more of a conversation similar to how you might have in a brick and mortar store. We covered this pretty extensively during our brick and mortar episodes, but this is a great opportunity to really connect with your customers.
Right. And to be clear with our listeners, Michael and I have experience with chat through Help Scout's Beacon. So we don't mean to say that we know exactly what it's like to be using this app. We just know how powerful chat can be, how universal it is, and what we've learned from it. I would advise chat for any type of seller that's really looking forward to improving their business.
The fact that Shopify is also prioritizing a free chat app is really indicative of the fact they find this important. They see that having a website with a chat presence is something that customers appreciate and will cause people to keep coming back. So we see that as evidence that's important. We see that as steps in the right direction. Whether or not Shopify chat is the right app for you, it might not be now or it might be later. It might never be, but this is still indicative of something that's important and that you should really keep your eye on. Regardless of whether or not Shopify chat is for you, we do suggest checking it out. You can look at other options as well. We know that there's HubSpot offers a free chat widget. Intercom offers a pretty extensive chat widget. We use Help Scout Beacon, but otherwise you can use services like SellerSmile, right, where we're installing a chat widget on your site and we're communicating with your customers for you.
Right. And a few months back, the SellerSmile team got together and we wrote our first article about live chat. Is when we were first getting into it. It was an unknown thing to us. We've learned a lot, but the aspects of customer service in that article that we covered still apply today, if not much more after going through that experience. So consider adding live chat if you're not already doing it. If you'd like to learn more about Shopify chat, you can go to apps.shopify.com/chat, and we'll include a link to that in the show notes. The eligibility requirements for this app: you must have an online store, and Shopify Ping must be installed on an iOS device to receive and respond to messages. The final topic that we'd like to cover in today's roundup is Amazon's announcement that enhanced brand content is now called A+ content. And if I'm not mistaken, Michael, I believe that A+ content was the name given to vendor central items, whereas enhanced brand content was the name for items that were sold in the third-party marketplace through Seller Central. Regardless, this is an interesting announcement for Amazon because not only have they renamed it, but they released a few interesting new features that we want to cover today.
Yeah, so we see these updates as affecting your customer experience in several different ways, but to kind of start off, one of the main updates besides the change in name is number one is being able to publish A+ content to many ASINs at the same time, not just one-to-one SKUs. So previously, sellers needed to submit content to one SKU at a time, and that includes like child SKUs in many categories. Now you're able to essentially do that to many different ASINs all at the same time. So this gives you the ability to create and update your enhanced brand content faster for all of your SKUs. So giving you a bit more control over how you can do that. So along with being able to publish to multiple ASINs at the same time, they also mentioned that they provide you more information during the editing phase right then and there, not just for the SKU that you're looking at, but also for the ASINs that you're editing. You'll be able to reference the images, the title, other information about those ASINs so that you can more adequately make changes to those ASIN groups directly from the content editor.
I like that change, Michael, because how easy is it to make a mistake when the only thing you have to reference is a SKU? If you can see the title, the image, I think it's going to reduce mistakes that are made when trying to update listings.
Exactly. These types of things make a big difference, especially if you're running a business that has many different ASINs. But even if you're not, just the fact that it's improving the experience of being able to edit and publish the A+ content for many ASINs at a time, that makes a huge difference in the experience.
And when I first learned about that and we were reading about this topic, I saw a similar feature get rolled out in Amazon Merch. I have an account there and they enabled this content creator. It used to be one piece of content at a time or one shirt, for instance, at a time. And now they allowed this enhanced editor where I upload one design and I can instantly publish it to a multitude of different cuts and designs of different t-shirts and different sweatshirts. So much more efficient than doing it one at a time. It's really interesting to see that they're releasing this feature for sellers on Amazon because the behavior Amazon is maybe obviously trying to encourage here is they want sellers uploading more products for sale on their marketplace just because they're making it that much easier to do so.
Exactly. By making it a more efficient process for you as the seller, it becomes a better experience for your customers because they come and see the enhanced brand content on your page. They can see it on more ASINs. Maybe you're incentivized to add more ASINs because of it. So many different benefits from it. The second main update from the A+ editor here is the ability to see a mobile preview. So the A+ Content Manager now allows you to be able to flip to preview mode and see both a desktop and mobile preview on the same screen. We see this as a huge benefit because we've talked about this even in our episodes talking about website customer service, how you want to make sure that you're always optimizing for mobile. That's a great rule of thumb, really, anywhere that you sell. If you're not optimized for mobile, you're losing out on opportunity. So being able to make sure that your A+ content looks great on mobile and on desktop is a great benefit for all sellers and for your buyers.
The other new update to this A+ content editor is that we can create language variations for each country. This has been a challenge that SellerSmile's had to deal with on behalf of our own clients, where they're selling in Amazon Europe and Amazon North America. So there's a variety of different languages we're having to account for in all of our messaging. And of course, there are translators that exist out there that are free, but they sometimes translate inaccurately. And of course, templates written and messages written from your customer service team that speak that native language are always going to be the best. In this way, I think with this update, Amazon's really addressing this concern to say that we need high quality listings. High quality listings are written well in all languages. No matter which languages your shoppers speak, they're going to be able to have confidence shopping from your store.
Well, and we've even seen it, as you mentioned, with some of our client inboxes where we receive, an Amazon.com inquiry in Spanish, right? So even though Amazon.com is typically an English-speaking marketplace, you might still get a percentage of your buyers who speak Spanish or speak a different language. So by allowing different language variations for each country, previously they only supported one language per country. So again, this just only further improves the customer experience because English and non-English speakers are able to see the enhanced brand content information in the languages that you add. And again, you're further connecting with your buyers. You're able to educate them right then and there before they even have to contact you. So this is just another opportunity to really be able to expand your reach to some of those buyers.
Yeah, and the important part is here, if you take advantage of some of these new features, your listings are going to be better, they're going to be more accessible, and the customer experience is going to be upgraded. Because like Michael stated in his example, if I am a Spanish speaker browsing Amazon.com and I see the option to immediately switch over to my native language, the probability of me making a purchase in that situation has to be increased. If it enables my browsing, my shopping, and it gives me what I want and when I need it, that's an excellent way to sell my products. Michael, I think the biggest takeaway with these updates is if you are enrolled in brand registry and you have access to this A+ content manager, check it out, understand all the options available to you and your team, and create some action steps and some projects to take advantage of these new features.
Yeah, some of the things that we might consider is make sure that your A+ content isn't just trying to sell to your customer, but is also offering the opportunity to educate your buyers. Perhaps your products come in different sizes, or there's a very specific use case that your product is used for. Make sure that your content is talking about that. This is a perfect opportunity for it. It's also an opportunity to invest in your design, right? So if your design is optimized for both mobile and desktop, again, this is something that's going to further improve your experience. I know I personally almost never shop on Amazon.com on the web app. I usually am always looking on Amazon.com directly from my phone. That sort of thing can make a difference. And again, like we mentioned before, translations. Make sure that you're getting your enhanced brand content translated, especially if you get emails in different languages for the same marketplace. This is a perfect opportunity to really cater to that customer. But even if you don't, maybe you should do it anyway, because you might start to see that people are now shopping from you because you are offering that information in different languages. And then finally, use this as an opportunity to really review your content, right? So the fact that they've made it easier to update your A+ content makes it easier for you to update it frequently. Make sure that there's not any errors or any sort of listing discrepancies that you might need to correct. Perhaps you mentioned something on your enhanced brand content that perhaps is now outdated, or perhaps like something that the design included that isn't actually relevant. This is a good opportunity to make sure that you're updating your A+ content frequently and making it useful.
To find your A+ content manager, log into your admin Seller Central account. In the advertising submenu on the dashboard, click on A+ Content Manager. As of today, September 24th, Amazon is displaying a helpful training article PDF, and we'll include that in the show notes of this article if you no longer have access to that on your end when you log into your account. But take a look. This PDF outlines multiple pages on how to use this new editor, how to take advantage of it. Make sure you preview this PDF before you start creating content so you don't have to go back and fix mistakes, or maybe so you can take advantage of certain features the first time around. I'm really happy that Amazon has released this type of helpful content. It's always useful, especially as we're trying to navigate this content on behalf of our own sellers and describe it to them as well.
Yeah, and it's no longer enhanced. It now needs to be A+.
In previous episodes, we've talked about the brand registry program and urged sellers to sign up. If you're a seller that's in the position of having access or owning your own intellectual property as a brand, this is an excellent program to be a part of. We couldn't recommend it more. So if you haven't yet, or if you will be eligible in the near future, we'll include a link of where to sign up on Amazon for that brand registry program. Thank you so much for listening to this customer service roundup. As always, we try to include a relatable quote to some of the topics that we've covered, or something that just might be related to the current events. Michael found an excellent one today from Henry David Thoreau.
Mr. Thoreau says, "One must maintain a little bit of summer even in the middle of winter." So guys, make sure that you're bringing a little bit of summer warmth to all of your customers, making them happy, making sure you remember to give them a digital smile if you're unable to talk to them in person. And even though summer's ending, we'll still keep that going.
To find the show notes, which include links to the articles and resources we discussed today, go to sellersmile.com/019. If you have your own e-commerce customer service question or topic that you'd like us to discuss, submit that to keepsmiling@sellersmile.com. And if you found this conversation valuable, hit subscribe and you'll get the next episode straight to your device. Thanks again, and keep smiling.